The early morning sun painted the vast savanna in hues of gold and amber, casting long shadows across the grassy plains. A small tribe of Homo erectus moved steadily through the underbrush, their skin toughened by the relentless elements. Their eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the land before them, a world both beautiful and brutal. In this ancient time, survival was everything. There were no luxuries, no safety nets. Every day was a fight for life. The tribe had recently adapted to a world where food was scarce, and they had evolved in ways unimaginable to the modern mind. They had developed the ability to digest not just the fruits and small animals they hunted, but the very stones and bones that littered the earth. This incredible gift was both a blessing and a curse. While it allowed them to survive when other sources of food were nowhere to be found, it also made them vulnerable to a strange new hunger that no other species on Earth could comprehend. As the tribe moved deeper into the savanna, they were focused, each member taking their place with practiced precision. They were a tight-knit group relying on each other for protection and survival. A sense of urgency hung in the air. There was a storm coming, and the land would soon become treacherous. The tribe needed to find shelter, but there was another problem: food. They hadn't eaten in days, and the hunger was starting to take its toll. The tribe's leader, a tall, broad-shouldered figure, motioned for them to stop. He knelt down, pressing his hands into the dirt. "We need to move quickly," he said, his deep voice carrying over the wind. The others nodded in agreement, but there was something more than hunger in their eyes. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what the storm would bring. Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced the air, a warning. The tribe's scout had spotted movement in the distance. A large predator, its massive form barely visible through the tall grasses, was creeping closer. The tribe's hunter, a young man with a keen eye and fast reflexes, readied his stone-tipped spear. The others held their breath, crouching low to the ground, their hearts racing in their chests. The predator, a giant saber-toothed tiger, stalked closer, its yellow eyes glowing with hunger. It was the ultimate test of survival, a battle between the apex predator and the primal instinct of the tribe. The saber-tooth, sensing the tribe's presence, let out a low growl and leapt toward them with terrifying speed. In an instant, the young hunter hurled his spear, his body moving with the grace of a predator. The spear flew through the air, striking the saber-tooth square in the chest. The creature let out a deafening roar, but it was too late. The tribe moved in quickly, surrounding the beast and overpowering it. They had won the battle, but at what cost? The storm was coming, and they had only moments to prepare. The tribe quickly gutted the saber-tooth, using their newfound ability to digest even the toughest parts of the animal. As they tore into the bones and muscle, their bodies fueling on the precious nutrients, the storm began to pick up speed. The wind howled through the savanna, and dark clouds gathered overhead. The battle had been won, but the war for survival was far from over. The tribe retreated to a nearby cave, seeking shelter from the storm. As the rain began to pour, they huddled together, their faces illuminated by the dim glow of a fire. Their bodies were battered and bruised, but they had survived. They had triumphed over nature's fiercest predator, and now they would face the storm together. As the storm raged outside, the tribe sat in silence, the crackling of the fire the only sound in the otherwise oppressive darkness. The flames flickered, casting eerie shadows on the cave walls, while the rain pounded relentlessly on the roof above them. It was as if nature itself was waging war against them, testing their resilience. But the tribe had survived worse. They had survived the jaws of the saber-toothed tiger, and they would survive the storm too. The leader, his face grim but resolute, stood up and motioned to the others. "We cannot stay here for long. The storm will pass, but we need to be ready. We need to move." His voice was firm, commanding. The tribe, though weary, nodded in agreement. They knew the land outside was dangerous, but they also knew that staying in one place for too long would only invite more threats, both from the wild and from other tribes. The storm howled louder, its fury intensifying as the tribe began preparing for the next phase of their journey. The young hunter, still holding his spear, checked the sharpness of the stone tip, ensuring it would be ready for whatever came next. The women of the tribe gathered what few tools and resources they could find: bone needles, fire-starting materials, and of course the sacred herbs they used for healing. The children, under the careful watch of the elders, huddled together, their faces wide with fear, but also with the instinctive understanding that survival was not a matter of age or strength, it was a matter of will. As the hours passed, the storm began to ease, the howling winds slowly subsiding into a soft, mournful whisper. The rain turned into a light drizzle, the thick clouds parting to reveal the pale light of the moon. The world outside was soaked. The savannah turned into a quagmire of mud and water, but the tribe had endured. "Now," the leader said, his voice steady, "we move." They emerged from the cave, stepping cautiously into the wet world that lay before them. The air was thick with moisture, and the ground was slippery beneath their feet. Yet their spirits were unbroken. The primal instinct for survival burned brightly in their eyes. As they moved forward, the tension was palpable. They had to move quickly. There was little time before the next predator or another tribe could appear. The tribe moved in a single line, the leader at the front, his keen eyes scanning the horizon. They followed the river that wound through the savannah, its dark, swollen waters a stark reminder of the storm's fury. But the river was also a lifeline. It provided water, and more importantly, it led to the dense forest where shelter could be found. But as they trekked deeper into the wilderness, the first of the tribe's scouts stopped motioning for the others to remain still. His eyes were wide with fear, his body trembling. The leader approached cautiously, his hand on his spear. The scout pointed to the ground, a trail of footprints leading off into the woods. These were not the prints of the animals they had been hunting. No, these were the prints of another tribe. The leader's heart sank. There was no time to lose. The rival tribe was close, and they would stop at nothing to claim the resources of the savannah for themselves. It was a battle for survival now, not just against the wild, but against other humans. The tribe, in its quiet unity, prepared for the confrontation. They gathered their tools, their strength, and their wits. Their survival depended on this, on their ability to outwit, outlast, and overpower their enemies. As the rival tribe's presence grew closer, the air was thick with the tension of impending conflict. The rival tribe appeared suddenly from the dense forest, their figures emerging like shadows in the dim light. They were tall and strong, their eyes hardened by years of survival in the brutal world they shared. But they lacked one thing: the resourcefulness and unity that defined this tribe. The leader, standing tall and steady, locked eyes with the leader of the rival tribe. Without a word, they knew this was no mere skirmish. It was a battle for survival, for the land, and for the future of their people. The air between them crackled with unspoken tension, as if the very earth itself was holding its breath. The two tribes, both armed with stone tools, and the knowledge of survival, squared off. The moment stretched into eternity. But the leader of the tribe made a decisive move. He signaled to his people, not with words, but with a simple motion, an invitation, a challenge. Instead of engaging in bloodshed, the leader of the rival tribe hesitated, then lowered his weapon. The tribes stood together in a moment of shared understanding, as if the storm had cleared not just the sky, but the bitterness that had clouded their hearts. Survival was their true enemy, not each other. The tribes agreed on a fragile truce, a mutual understanding of shared struggle. They joined forces, hunting together, pooling resources. That night, they sat around the fire, eating in silence, knowing that the real victory lay not in conquering each other, but in facing the challenges of the world as one.